Hello everyone, I'm Chester44 and welcome to this Let's Play Blades of Avernum. Last episode was a lot of blinding wandering around trying to figure out what the hell I'm supposed to do in order to get back over to this side of the river, even to the point of looking in the hints before finding out that it was just as simple as casting flight and flying across. I even used it at some point. I did not think that... I am an idiot. Anyway, we need to go and report in. You return to camp, finally, with the knowledge that you have cleared the path for a substantial distance ahead. You notice that the light here is dark. The glowing fungus that lights the area must have a natural cycle that is at its dim point. You also notice that the entire camp has broken down the tents and pens, laying them off to the side. They must be almost prepared to depart. Just ahead you can see a crowd gathered near a small mound, with a bonfire on top of it and someone speaking to the crowd. Looks like a meeting of almost the entire expedition. Really now? You approach the meeting. You are close enough now to see that Laguerre is speaking. By the looks of it, he's wrapping things up. Phaedra notices you. Without turning, she speaks. Hey guys, get closer. Pythos is about to speak, and I think it'll be good. And now it is time to hear another. I give you my trusted aid, Pythos. There's a loud round of applause. The audience is lively and clearly in a good mood. Thank you. Many of you do not know me well, so tonight I will tell you my story. It begins a long time ago. I was young 20 years ago, young and a darkling. I lived in Cisvis's castle and knew him personally. I was commander of my own raiding party, unusual for my age. We were returning from a raid on Fort Emerald. We arrived home to find everyone dead. The heroes who slew Cisvis were very thorough. They left no one alive. They killed every last one of my kin. They slew my commander, and they left the shattered corpses to stare unseeing at my visage as I tried to comprehend what had happened. My raiding party looked to me for answers, but I had none. I knew only that my life and my promising future had been taken away from me. I did not even know what I would do, so how could I tell them what they should do? Still, the sense of loyalty remained. We left that house of death and journeyed southeast to an intact encampment of Sliths. I left them there, for I knew that I could no longer be one of them. I left and began to wander. For 17 years I wandered, traversing the lands of Avernum, slowly learning the human tongue. The first few years were the hardest. The war was not yet over, and humans were suspicious of an illiterate, poorly spoken lone slith. Even when the war did end, the Empire came and brought more terror, killing all sliths they found. I returned later to find my old comrades, but the villages were destroyed. I spoke with the powerful and wise. Dragons, magicians, kings. King Micah granted me permission to be one of the first non-humans to visit the surface. For others, it was a return. For me, it was new. Sunlight, dirt, and oceans, vast, wide oceans. It was on the surface that I began to find the answers for which I had been searching. Many were recovering from recent deaths because of the monster plagues. And then I visited Gale. In that city, which was racked by scribane addiction, devastated by golems, and dominated by the corrupt and vindictive Mayor Raleigh, people sought the same hope I did, and the hope that they found came from Zachariah of the Temple of the Shining Beacon. Zachariah preached that purity came from within. Simple living would give peace of mind. He counseled me through my fears and doubts, and he gave me the strength to go to the one place that I had been avoiding. Nass. I should have sought Nass immediately when I returned from the Darklings, but I was afraid. I fought a war against these sliths, and was a personal aid to the one who had done them the most harm since Grahoth 60 years ago. What could I say to them? I journeyed to Nass, but found it prejudiced, intolerant. The priestly class had seized control and clamped down. Dissent was strictly forbidden. As a Darkling I could disagree with Cisthis on faith, but to oppose High Priest Patha spelled death. 3 years I lived in Nass, seeking weaknesses in the theocracy. Few spoke their minds, but I was sure that many agreed with me. Thus, when Laguerre came, I was quick to back him as the prophet. I wanted to see him topple the priesthood and free Nass. To my dismay, though, Laguerre cared nothing for power. He wanted only to preach, and it turned out that his message appealed most to those least capable of effecting change. The poor, the privately religious, or those who lived outside of Nass. You know the story since then. We could do little in Nass. We decided to leave, to go to Thassaka and then make our way into the homeland, the blasphemy which brought Nass's anger upon us. But Laguerre's promise held. We made it to Thassaka. Our arrival in Thassaka meant many things to many Sliffs, but I was perhaps the most conflicted of all. The Darklings are not simple barbarians. We have our own warrior traditions and our own values. We Darklings know of Thassaka, but unlike those of Nass, we know the Thassakavans as our ancient enemies. Along our oral traditions are the ancient battle chants, verses that tell of the war long ago between the Thassakavans and the Darklings. I did not know what to think in Thassaka. Was I a Darkling, to know that I tread on the ground of my enemies, and to feel the hot rush of blood that came with that? A Nasslith, to feel the anguish of holiness lost when this place was destroyed? No, I decided. I am not a Darkling, but neither am I of Nass. I am a follower of Laguerre, trying to end the curse and exile that have been on my people for more than 200 years. Thassaka is not a place to me. It is a way, a path, a method. We completed when Thassaka began. We opened the doors to the homeland and begun the journey to the homeland. The Thassakavan repentance is done. The time of Exodus has begun. The audience breaks out into loud applause. You find yourselves joining in. Pithos's gaze travels over the crowd and ends up on you. But I am not the only one who has a story to tell you. Come, Fox, tell us your story. You stand before the audience and tell them your story, describing your encounter with the frost lizards and the barbarian Sliffs, telling of the ruined cities that you saw and the horrors of the blasted land through which you returned. You explain that you've cleared a path all the way to Naktha, but you need help with some machinery. Talus, who is front and center in the crowd, shouts out, "I'll do it!" You finish your story, exhilarated at the performance. The crowd brings enthusiasm and passion to the event. You step to the side and Laguerre begins speaking again. Before you can really listen, Cass pulls you aside. You should get some rest. You've been through a lot and we're meeting here for a few hours until we leave. We've left your tent alone so you can sleep. He bids you off and you return to your tent and drift off. Okay. Well, it's a decent place to. Let's train up a bit. Alright, Fox, let's try and get your assassination to 10. And we got your assassination to 10. Perfect. I think I'll probably improve gymnastics and Pathfinder next. Alright, Sheik. You got everything at the level I want it to be at there. I don't know how to improve Blade Master. Again, someone tell me if they can. Sheik, I think 25 tool use might be enough. You know, with everything at the level I kind of want it to be at. Maybe we should improve these a bit more. Let's try and get Quick Strike to 10. Bonnie. Okay, I want to get Resistance higher, but I can't remember. Hardiness was involved. Fine, Hardiness to 10, but I think it's Endurance that also needs to be improved enough. Yeah, I think it was Endurance and Hardiness, but Hardiness to 10 should help out. We need to get Resistance to Bonnie and to Draco. And Draco needs a lot of Hardiness. Oh, wait a minute. You guys also need your Mage spells. Draco with Mage spells 22. That will get him... Actually, nothing new. But Death Knell, that's something I want to get. Okay. You can get that and improve your hardiness. Alright, ignore your hardiness improvement. Actually, you can't improve your pre-spells at all, so fine. Go with the hardiness improvement to 10. We'll improve your pre-spells later. I think that works. Alright, moving on. You fall onto your sleeping pad and are asleep within seconds. You awake without much sense of having slept. You're still tired, but you are at least a little restored.
You leave your tent and discover that it is time to set off. The expedition will travel downriver along the path that you cleared. You travel with the expedition to Naktha. There, Talus figures out how to open the gates, and Cass tells you that you want to proceed south in your boat. The Gear's information indicates that the next city past Naktha was called Thassaka, and it was the largest city in this region, much larger than Vastalis or Naktha. He thinks there's some chance that it's still intact. Cass instructed you to check it out, and either way report back to Naktha when you've determined the situation. You made camp in a nook in the stalagmites just south of Naktha and rested for a long while. Now it's time to get up and find this Thassaka. Alright, Thassaka is where we're going to go to. Hold on a second. Okay. That's where we're going to need to go. Hopefully we can. Well, I'm pretty sure I know exactly where we are. Well, there's the boat we're going to be taking. And that we need to take right here and now. Well, in we go. Yep, I was right. We're on the south shore now. And we can't actually head further north. So, I guess it's going to be going further south. Well, we made it to Naktha. Beyond that, an island city of Thassaka. That's where we're going to go. Alright. Well, let's save before we start heading off. Alright, and on we go. In the distance, you can see the city of Thassaka. More importantly, it appears to be completely intact, not conquered by barbarians or abandoned. Thassaka may be the first city you enter that can give you real answers about the Slith homeland. Suddenly, you recall that they are not expecting anything like you. Avernites were a strange concept to those in Vastalis. They would be doubly so for those in Thassaka. So Thassaka is already right here. Hey, we managed to get toadstools. Well, hey, it's something. Alright. There's a whole bunch of sliths around here. I see barbarians to the south. That doesn't look pleasant. Big, wide open area. And there it is. You approach a small couple of houses outside Thassaka. A number of sliths live here, and you can see them outside, working in their fields. They see you and shy away. You make as if to speak to them, but they clearly don't want to have anything to do with you, making hostile motions as you approach. You stay back. You approach the front gates of the Slith city, looking at the banners that cover the walls and the guards that stand by. Your approach causes a small alarm to go up in the city, and not wanting to cause problems, you wait as they get organized. After a short while, an important-looking Slith comes to the gates and speaks to you. He speaks the ancient Slith language with a strange accent. My name is Kalthanas. I am the king of Thassaka. He looks at you with confusion on his face. It must be because he's never seen a non-Slith humanoid. Who and what are you? You quickly fill him in, explaining where you're from and why you come to Thassaka. You begin to describe the expedition that is coming behind you when he cuts you off in horror. Darklings! The children of Thist have returned? We do not need yet another enemy! He looks very upset, so you hurriedly explain that you intend no harm. You briefly describe Basikava and the repentance. He looks somewhat reassured, but still a little skeptical. You can enter the city, but do not bring your friends here yet. Come speak with me among my advisors, and we will decide what to do. He walks back inside the city hall. Alright then. Well, I'm going to explore around the outside of this place first, as I do. I still find it fascinating. That must be the... Oh no, that might actually be the docks, now that I think about it. No matter. It's still fascinating, but I just remembered there was a... Oh no, I think I did. Never mind. Ignore what I was thinking. That has nothing to do with anything. pointing range. More enemies. They must be referring to the barbarians. Yeah, that's basically their shrine. This Slith looks at you uncomfortably and says nothing, despite your attempts to start a conversation. It appears that no one will talk to you here except the king. Alright, let's try and find the king first, then. Yeah, these are the docks. I like how they actually did something that I haven't actually seen in other games. The docks are behind a wall. That makes perfect sense. You don't really find that elsewhere. Most times the docks are right up against the city, or in the city, part of it. You know what I mean? This, actually having the docks behind a wall. And there are a lot of boats around here. Homeland is still active. This is fascinating. Is that one actually named? No, it's not. Alright. This may be City Hall here. No, this is a library. So where is City Hall, then? Ah! Here we are. The Slith King looks at you anxiously as you approach. He is tall and strong, with all of the aged intensity that you would expect from a king of the homeland, but he looks worn, weighed down by the pressures of the office.
Welcome to Thassaka. Our city has seen better days, but we are still strong, still standing, still ready to fight any invaders. You'd better explain what you're doing here.
Tell him the whole story. He listens carefully as you tell him what you know of Slith history, explaining that many Sliths no longer worship demons. You tell him also of the coming of Laguerre and the developing expedition. When you finish, Calthanes gives you a long look.
I understand. This is... You must forgive me. You should, of course, bring Laguerre and the others here. But first, you should know of our situation.
What is your situation?
In the time of my grandfather's rule some 70 years ago, a terrible cavequake ripped through this entire region. Bandits, a problem before, grew much worse. We received a message a few years later to look to our own defenses. Abandoned by the Empire, we stood alone to fight the encroaching barbarians. It had already been too dangerous to travel north of Naktha, and shortly it became too dangerous to go south. We have been by ourselves for decades. As you know, Naktha was sacked recently. Thassaka stands as the last bastion of civilization in this region, with no contact with any other non-barbarian Sliths. We are holding out, but constant attacks take their toll. And that is our situation.
I should mention, some refugees from Naktha are hiding out in Neos.
We already have some refugees here. Now that you've cleared the way, we can go north and bring them back. Thank you for your help.
Calthanes. Why does that name sound familiar?
Because of Kalthas, of course.
He laughs at the question, but then he realizes that you don't know what he's talking about.
Kalthas, the hero of the Kalthanad. You know the Kalthanad?
Your blank expression persists.
By all the gods, how much culture have you lost in Avernum? The Kalthanad is the epic poem of the Empire. It tells the story of our founder, Kalthas, and his heroic deeds culminating in the founding of the Empire itself. In a short while, we will have a public performance of part of the poem. You should attend. It is definitely worth your time.
Can I help you out at all?
Perhaps. We have faced attacks from the east that we have traced back to an archmage who leads a barbarian camp on an island in the middle of a river of lava. Slay the archmage and we will be much safer. We have little with which to reward you, but they must have gathered things that would be reward in themselves. Kill the archmage. That will be of great service to us.
An archmage who leads a barbarian camp on an island in the middle of a river of lava.
Oh boy.
May I tell the expedition to come here now?
Yes, certainly. I wish to speak to this Laguerre.
The expedition is still in Naktha. To inform them, you must go back that way. Understood. Thank you. Will you speak with us now?
Greetings,
this merchant says.
My name is Sakna. I sell many different odds and ends, always useful for traveling folk, by Rasinos.
Who is Rasinos? He looks at you as if you are the most bumbling, ignorant savage he has ever seen.
Rasinos, of course, the god of war. He is also the patron of travelers, or at least that's the joke in these dark times.
You sell swords. I thought Slits didn't use swords. Sakna frowns.
Sliths have used swords since the time of Kalthas. Some of the barbarians have lost the ability to forge precisely enough to make swords, and they rely solely on spears, but they are uncivilized.
You know, I actually find that very interesting now that I think about it. So, I guess the usage of spears was pretty much restricted to this and the Darklings that came out. They stuck with using spears, and I guess what he's saying is that tradition basically stayed with the Sliths as they came out, even after they broke away from this, and they just didn't use swords as much, and continued the tradition of using spears, while sword work continued on in the homeworld. I like that! That is a fascinating idea there. And yet I don't see any swords that... Oh no, you have steel longswords. That is not useful at all. None of the things you have are useful, except green. That's all for now, thanks. Didn't realize you had that. Next. This merchant Slith greets you as you approach. He is lean and trim, smaller than most other Sliths.
My name is Fascos. I sell magic.
Can you tell me anything interesting about Thassaka?
What is there to tell? We are surrounded by barbarians, and our greatest ally, Naktha, has been destroyed. We are not only an island of land amidst water, but also an island of civilization amidst chaos. I cannot even acquire the magical learning our race had of old. Spells once common are now lost. The powerful magics that held the Dark Sliths at bay are failing, not because of a wane of magic, but because our knowledge is disappearing.
His jaws clench in frustration.
I am the only true magic user in Thassaka, and I have no apprentices. When I die, still a few will know some spells, but no real mages. One can cast Bolt of Fire, another called Beast, a third Healing, but none all these. We are losing.
Alright, what mage spells can you teach me? I did not realize we didn't have Ace level 3. Learn it. Farsight skill 3, definitely, and Dispel Barrier skill 3, definitely. Arcane Summon Improvement. Tempting, but I'll save off on that. Pre-spells. Let's see, Summon Shade, Enduring Barrier, Mass Hearing, Divine Fire. Return Life level 3, I do need that. What are the powerful spells?
I can teach any of the following. Major Haste for 1,000 coins, Safe Travel for 1,000, Capture Soul for 1,500, and Recall Soul for 1,500.
I'd like to learn a level of Major Haste. Alright. Major Haste, that's a point in that. Safe Travel. That will be our first Blessing Priest spell. And will be handy. Capture Soul and Recall Soul. Those are Hostile Priest spells. Alright. Alright, that's a couple more powerful spells. Good. And yeah, mage spells, is that what I wanted to do? Yeah. Arcane Summon. I'm not gonna bother with the other ones, but the priest spells. What was I going to improve here? I'll improve Cloud of Blades, I guess. There. We're going to need to get a lot of coin again. Still, I'll take it. This Slith woman greets you with a smile as you approach.
Hello, foreigner. My name is Thassaka. Have you any need for food? If so, I can help you.
Do the people around here really eat this stuff often?
No, she says, grinning. But I bring out my best goods for my most special customers. Those coming from lands far away with lots of money.
She winks.
No, Sliths around here normally eat mushrooms and sometimes the meat of a sacrificed animal.
I could have sworn Sliths only usually ate fish, and that was their primary diet. I guess it's different in the homeland. Can I buy some food? Yeah, we can. We don't need to right now. That's all for now, thanks. Wait, so we can't sell anything, can we? No, apparently we can't. And we do have loot we need to sell and get identified. Less loot than I thought. Should have grabbed some of that. Oh well. Much as I'd like to continue exploring, this episode's probably gone on long enough. Next episode, we'll continue exploring through here. Hopefully we'll find someone who will buy our stuff. And then we'll take a look at something else and then report back in. That'll be in the next episode. So until then, I'm Chester44. That is Fox, Sheik, Bonnie, and Draco. This has been a Blades of Avernum Let's Play, and I shall see you all next time.